guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I have done this Halloween look. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wanted to do half face normal and then half face skeleton, but then like I didn't want to do like half and half or like half and half, so I decided to do kind of it on like a diagonal. I tried to make it look as realistic as possible and I didn't want to do anything too scary. I wanted to do something still incorporating glam, so that's why I've left like half of the lip and then like done a glam eye. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the tutorial because it's going to be a long one. So to start with, I'm going to be removing all of my texture from my skin. So I'm going to be using the Porefessional primer from Benefit, and I'm just pretty much going to place this on the center of my face. Then I'm going to go in with my Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation in the shade Tawny with my Real Technique sponge. I'm using a really matte foundation because when we apply the paint, we don't want it to move anywhere or move any of the foundation. And if you use a dewy, like glowy foundation, then it's just going to make a mess. Then I'm going to conceal underneath my eyes using my Shape Tape concealer in light medium. I don't really know why I put this underneath my skeletal eye because I'm going to go over it with paint, but I really didn't know kind of like what steps to take to create this look, so it's a little bit wishy-washy. Then I'm going to go in with my Peach Smoothie and my Creme Brulee eyeshadow from Makeup Geek. I'm just going to apply this in my crease and the outer corner using my 228 crease brush from Zoeva. Then just to make it a little bit darker, I'm just going to take Fawn from Anastasia Beverly Hills just to define the eye a little bit more and make it a bit more glam. Then I'm going to be taking Fresh by Anastasia Beverly Hills and I'm just going to pat this over the inner part of my eyelid just to make it a little bit more lighter and brighter. Like always, for my winged eyeliner, I'm taking my Maybelline gel liner in black and my 217 brush from Zoeva, and I'm just going to create my wing. Then to fill it in, I'm taking my Tarte's felt tip liner in black to fill it all in. I'm going to make this wing quite dramatic and thick because I want it to pop and be super glam. So for the skeleton side of my brows, I really wanted the hairs to stick up, so I'm just taking my Pears soap and running this through my brows with a spoolie. And make sure that your spoolie is wet, otherwise it won't pick up soap and make it like foamy. Then I'm going to go in with Creme Brulee and Peach Smoothie again and pop this into my crease, and this time I'm dragging it quite far out in the outer corner, and then I'm really focusing this on the inner corner and using my nose bone to connect upwards through my brow to make that inner corner socket like pop. Using Sienna by Anastasia Beverly Hills, I'm just going to pop this on top to give it a little bit more warmth before we go in with black eyeshadow from Makeup Geek. This is in Corrupt with my 227 brush. I'm going to go pretty much in all the areas that we did put the shades before, and don't know why my camera didn't film me putting the gel eyeliner all over my eyelid, so I pretty much just packed this on top as I would an eyeshadow, and then I just used a little bit of black eyeshadow to smoke it out. Don't worry if it's a little bit too harsh and not so blended, it doesn't really matter. You honestly, like, it's a bit more dramatic when it's like not blended. Then I'm taking this down to the bottom part of my eye socket where my like eye bag is, and I'm just going to make that a little bit dark so it gives a more like hollowness to the eye. Then I'm using my Dip It eyeliner by Sleek Makeup, and I'm going to be doing the crack that goes all the way across my head. I just googled images of skulls. I just did it randomly. You don't have to be really precise with this, just do it where you think you'd want one. And then to make the cracks look a little bit more realistic, I made like a big crack by my brow bone, so it just looked like there was a massive crack and then there was tiny little ones kind of forming from it. Again, you don't have to be so precise, just draw like little lines and do some quite dark and thick and some quite thin. Just gives it more of like a realistic appearance. And I fancy just drawing a crack on my nose, so I just did it. Like, you don't have to be precise, honestly, just if you feel like putting a crack there, put a crack there. And then for the nose, I'm just going to go in my liner again and do like a normal skull nose. So I've done two lines going up the center of my bridge of my nose. One's going to be a little bit longer than the other, and then I'm going to round it off just at the tip of my nose. For my paint, I'm taking the Snazaroo paint in white, and I'm just going to pop this on with a concealer brush. I should have really used a foundation brush for the bigger areas because it kind of left a little bit of stroke marks, but it's fine. Once it dries pretty neat and tidy. And just be careful when you're going around the edges of the cracks. Now, I had to run this through my brows, so I did take off some of the eyeshadow, but have no fear because once the paint is dried, you can just pop on eyeshadow like you would normally. So I just had to go over that. Then I'm just taking a stop line in between my my cheekbone and kind of curving it around. That's where I'm going to stop putting the white paint. I don't want to go any further down than that. Then I'm just going to fill in the area again, taking off that black eyeshadow underneath, but don't worry because I will go in afterwards and fill it all in once it's dried. Just going to start blending in the eyeshadow on my eye up into the brows. So I'm going to do black in the beginning part of my brow and then like Sienna and Creme Brulee in the outer portion of my brow bone. Then taking the black eyeshadow again and running it underneath in that under eye socket and then running it on my lower lash line to create that circle, like hollow skeleton eye shape. Then taking my Morphe 508 brush, I just fancied bringing that crack all the way down the side of my nose and then around my nostril. I'm going to curve it around where, like the shape that we've done on the nose, just to make it a little bit more in line and kind of just make it look more uniform, I guess. And then I'm just going to shade in my nostril area to give it more of a skeleton look. Now, the one thing that I will say is to make your cracks look more realistic, I always feel like shading things in just gives it a more real appearance. So I'm just picking two random cracks that I wanted to shade in, and I'm just going to shade that out using my Morphe 508 brush. Just a little bit of black. You don't want too much. It has to look more like grey than black, but using a black eyeshadow would just save you time than building up on grey. And then I'm just going to take some black paint again, and I'm just going to carve out underneath the white that we've done, and taking some foundation, I'm just going to pat this on top of that white area and then drag it and pat it in using my finger because I don't want there to be any harshness to it. I want it to look like it's fading into my actual skin. Then just to make the skeleton part a little bit more realistic, I'm just going to shade in the outer portion of my head or forehead where my hairline is with some black eyeshadow and then drag it down with what's left over to create like a grey effect. Then I'm applying some black paint in the temple area just to give a more contoured skeleton look, I guess, just to make it again more realistic. And then randomly applying some more cracks. I felt like the white paint there was just looking a little bit too like stark white and unreal and like unrealistic, so I just added some random light little cracks. You can't really pick up on these too much unless you're really close, which is the kind of thing that I wanted to go for. Then to make my glam side of my face a little bit more glam, I'm going to go in with some black eyeshadow from Makeup Geek, and I'm just going to apply this on the lower part of my crease and outer corner using my 508 brush from Morphe. And then with my 507 brush from Morphe again, I'm just going to take a little bit of Sienna eyeshadow from Anastasia Beverly Hills and run this along my lower lash line. Then to add a little bit of shimmer and a bit of pop, I'm taking a crystal white shade from Makeup Addiction and I'm just going to run this in the inner corner. Then I'm going to be using my Maybelline gel liner to run across the waterline in my top and bottom lash line. I'm just going to define the eye a little bit more, make it a bit more smoky. Then taking my Anastasia Beverly Hills a Dip Brow Pomade in medium brown, I'm going to carve out my brows like I would normally. Then to start out the skeleton portion of my face, I'm going to draw a line and curve it around like I did before, but this time instead of shading in at the top, I'm going to shade in everything from that point on and the bottom. Now to blend it in with my foundation, I'm just taking my little pinky finger and just tapping it onto the foundation to blend it out so it just looks like it's gradually blended in and there's no harsh lines. Then I just thought I'd pop on lashes so the top portion of my eye is complete and we can just focus on the bottom portion. So starting on the red half of my lip, I'm just taking my Bloodline liquid lipstick from Anastasia Beverly Hills and I'm going to overdraw my lips quite a lot because I want it to be poppy and just very kind of dramatic. And then I'm going to stop halfway, and this time I'm going to take some black eyeshadow once the lip has dried out and I'm just going to shade it in so it just looks like it's fading into the skeleton bones and teeth. So to help you with your teeth, I'm going to open my mouth and just look where my natural teeth are and how thick and thin, like width-ways they are. So all I'm going to do is just pretty much draw where I have my teeth naturally. That's just going to act as a guideline for you. It's just going to make it so much easier to do it this way. Because I've done it in the past where I've just kind of done it freehand and my teeth have like looked so wide all the way around when actually naturally your teeth are very different shapes. So if you use your teeth naturally, I just feel like it's just a stencil. It just makes your life so much easier. So I'm just going to carry on doing this all the way around. And yes, I did have to count like how many teeth I have in one side of my mouth. Like that stuff you don't remember from school, okay? Okay. And then I'm just going to slightly draw a line going all the way through those lines, and it's kind of curved up a little bit and around just ever so slightly. If it's too straight, then it looks kind of weird. And then I'm going to start drawing on my skeleton side. Now this I copied from Crispy's half skeleton face. I literally just got her photo up on Instagram, and I just kind of copied the outer portion that she did on the skeleton part. Just remember to take your time on this bit. This portion of my face took the longest to do because it's just a little bit more tricky just to get the proportions right, but you just want to be careful. And again, I just added some cracks here and there at the bottom of my face and then onto the human part of the skin just to make it look a bit more real. Then taking some black paint and an eyeliner brush that I got from Poundland, I'm just going to start filling that area in. I'm just going to stop right before we hit the teeth because I want to start shading that bit in. Then taking a lip brush and some cropped eyeshadow from Makeup Geek to do the shading in. For my shading bit, I love to just to apply a pressure right when you hit the brush to your skin and then release the pressure when you kind of flick the brush. That gives it that gradient and gradual effect, and it's like the easiest bit to do. Like the shading in bit is like the fun, easy bit. Then onto carving out the teeth. It always looks harder than it actually is, so just all you want to do for the teeth is carve out the edges on the outer corners. So where you've got like the big square bit, you just want to round off those edges to make it more curved, and then imagine it as like an upside down triangle, just a little bit more curved around the edges, and before it reaches that top point you want to stop, so it kind of goes in and then it kind of like stops, and then you want to like make jagged lines going up so it almost looks like where like the teeth have been like hanging on to the muscle. So yeah, it just gives it more of a realistic appearance, but you could totally leave them square if you don't have time or you just don't want to tackle it. But honestly, once you get the hang of it, it is super easy. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed this Halloween tutorial. Please let me know in your comments below if you enjoyed it and give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget you can subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the red button and join our little family. Happy Halloween, and I'll see you next time.